The man of the moment joins us here on the ringside set. And it's only a few weeks since we caught up with David in his Miami training base when everything seemed up in the air.
Wladimir cannot do a press release or a press conference without mentioning me.
There's no one else.
There's no one else.
OK,
no,
so change the split. You go in with 47, 48, 46, I don't know, change it. Put it in his favour if you want the fight so much.
If he... What, is a 2 or 3% going to make someone like Wladimir change his mind?
I don't know. Ask him.
If he either wants to fight or he doesn't want to fight. You know, I could then say, OK, I'm going to fight you for nothing. Then what's the point of it? What's the point of everything? You know, I'm in this game, you know, to leave a legacy, earn as much money as I can, and stay healthy. You know?
But it's still going to be a lot of money if it's 48%.
48%.
For example, I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, it's, you know, I believe as a champion.
You're going in with a champion's mentality.
Going with champion's mentality. I'm not a challenger. I've given up most of the championship rights by letting him come to the ring second, by letting him be in the red corner, by letting him have his doctor, by letting him, you know,
You'll do all that.
I've done all that stuff.
Yeah.
So why then say, OK, and I'm going to give him money? No, if he's already shown his, you know.
That's the deal.
He shows that he needs. He shows that he needs, and he's said that before. He's the one who called out. I think he's the one who first said 50-50 situation. OK, that's what it takes for you to fight. Let's do it.
We left you in Miami. What happened next?
I think he watched that programme. I think he realised that the world boxing fans, world fans in general, would have never allowed him to walk away from this situation. You know, we said from day one it should be a 50-50 deal. Both champions, it makes perfect sense. It can't be that complicated of a deal to do. 50%, 50, everything goes into the pot, split 50-50. He tried to wiggle out of it a few times, but finally he put pen to paper, and I'm just happy that the fight that I've been craving for so many years is finally here.
So the fight's on. Where did that seed, where was that seed first planted? Where did it all start?
Adam said to me that in the recent times that we've been negotiating, it's been completely different to the times in the past.
Adam
Booth, yeah. He said when he first got the first draft of the contract, he said it's completely different to anything he's seen before from these guys. So that was a sign for me. Yeah, they genuinely want to make this.
Had you budged at all from what you originally said, 50-50, keep it that?
No, yeah, I just said it was 50-50. That's what they came to the table with. They said from the start, 50-50, it's OK, 50-50, but there's all these other little...
None of that 47, 48 was needed.
No, that wasn't needed, thankfully. 50-50 was what the deal always was, and for whatever reason, it dragged out. But the way boxing works is, you know, the fight's bigger now than it was last year. It's a lot bigger than it was the year before that. So, you know, the way it's worked out, it's a huge... it couldn't be any bigger than it is now. The fight's ripe and it's ready to go.
Yeah, June the 25th or July the 2nd,
yeah,
but it's a fight and a dream match that you've been craving for years, hasn't it? It
is, you know, ever since as you saw the footage there, since I left the cruiserweight division after knocking out Enzo Maccarinelli and John Mark Mormek, you know, I said I had aspirations to be #1 on the planet, and at the time, Wladimir was #1, you know, he still is, and that's why I went straight after him, you know, calling him out. We had a fight penciled in for 2008 or 2009. That didn't happen. I got injured there. But, you know, everything happens for a reason, and here we are today.
Did he take you serious? The first time you approached him, jumped up cruiserweight, coming to the...
I don't know. When I first in his face talking to him, you know, he was talking about how small I was, you know, what have I done? I've got no legacy. I've never done anything in the heavyweight division. And I'm saying I'm the undisputed champion.
This is what, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, about 3 years ago. I said, you've never fought anyone like me. Who have you fought that's been undisputed? And he hadn't, you know.
So at this point, as far as he's concerned, you're an opportunist. You're just another fighter trying to get a crack.
Yeah, he probably thought I was just some loudmouth guy with just a big mouth who couldn't fight. But, you know, over the years, I've proved that I can. I've proved that, you know, not only that, winning the WBA title, a title he's never even fought for, or his brother.
Was this a hijack? I see all the press is there.
Yeah, I knew he was going to be there. You know, the word was out that he was there for all the press. He was doing some function there. So I thought, OK, let me get down there, you know, get in this guy's face. You know, I knew that would get under his skin. I knew that would get a lot of headlines. And that's what you need when you first go into a new division or you want to raise some eyebrows.
And it looked like you might fight Wladimir, and then Vitali was muted as well. But you sort of took the other way, went to Nikolai Valoev and proved yourself on a different route. Yeah,
definitely. After the fight with Wladimir fell through, for injury, we started talking with Vitali. Obviously, he had, you know, you remember back then, you know, I was coming with my hand out. You know, I wasn't a champion. You know, I didn't come with no crazy world ranking at heavyweight. So they were treating me like they would treat any of the other bums in the heavyweight division that go to them. So while he was looking through this contract, you know, this brutally one-sided contract with crazy rematch options, and obviously I don't want to get into what he wanted me to sign. Valuev came to the table and said, OK, we want to fight with you. I said, OK, what are the terms? Showed us the terms. Couldn't be any better. You know, I was over the moon. Still am happy with the terms that I signed there, with the options and whatnot. Very happy with it. Sauerland made that happen, and within 2 days it was signed, and I was fighting Nikolai Valuev, the 7'2" giant.
Looking at Vitaly, looking at Wladimir, physically they both look the same, but the styles are very different.
Very different.
Vitaly's more of an attacking fighter, Wladimir is more defensive. How would you approach the fight against Wladimir? Every fighter's come up with a tactic.
Every fighter seems to have come with the same game plan with Wladimir.
This was Samuel Peter, who we fought before, hadn't he?
Samuel Peter had a good go before, because Samuel Peter was a lot more athletic back then. Since then, he's put on weight, he's slowed down, he's been beaten since. His whole plan was to try to walk through Vladimir's
So
punches.
how do you get past that jab? Is it head movement speed?
It's head movement speed and athleticism. He's never fought anyone athletic enough to get past his jab. His jab's very, very impressive against guys like this, against guys like Samuel Peters, guys, fat heavyweights who aren't in shape. Who look how the guy's defending the punches. He's not. He's just standing in front of him.
But what his opponents seem to say is that when you get in there, it's very, very different. How do you take your chances?
I'm sure it is different for guys with the same dimensions as a Samuel Peters. Someone probably 2 stone over a good weight in my mind. You know, the guy came out with no real game plan, hoping that Wladimir would run out of steam. That's a real bad game, but I'm not going to hope Wladimir runs out of steam after 6 rounds, because I know he won't.
So your tactics are what?
I don't want to get too much into tactics. What you got to do when you fight anybody is take away their main asset.
His is obviously his jab. He's got a strong,
without a doubt,
jab.
I'd say Vladimir's jab is the most important punch, key for him. If he can't get his jab working, if he can't land his jab, if he can't feel his opponent at the end of the jab, he doesn't like that. And once again, if he can't land that backhand, he doesn't know what to do. He then goes and grabs hold of somebody.
And David, he's been down about 11 times, and because of that, he sort of manufactured this style, hasn't he, which makes him so tough to beat.
It does. You know, he's not the easiest guy to tag clean. You know, you have to set him up for certain things. Some people, when they walk out and just try to swing at his chin, that won't land. You have to set him up. You've got to set traps for him. And he's never fought anyone with the athleticism or speed or determination that I can.
So that tells me you're either going to box offensively, try and draw him on to make mistakes.
You've got to mix it up with someone like that. You know, you can't have one game plan, because he's a smart fighter, he's clever, and I've seen him adapt to fighters in the past.
Before this fight, everybody said Audley's attribute was his jab. He had a decent jab. Obviously, it wasn't a confident jab like Wladimir.
Yeah, of course not.
But his jab, he managed to throw 3 in the whole fight. He took it completely away from him. How would you implement that against a strong, confident Wladimir?
You can't really compare Audley Harrison to Wladimir Klitschko. They're 2 completely different animals. You know, on a lot smaller, lower level. You know, Audley had a decent jab, but I took that away from him. That was his main aim, was for me to.
So it's a totally different game plan.
Completely different. It can't be the same. That wouldn't be enough against Wladimir. No way. But once again, once I get someone going, as you can see, I don't let him off the hook. I don't feel him out for 12 rounds. I get the job done. One
thing that surprised me is how light you came in. That showed your speed, showed your strength. You still did this against Audley Harrison. Probably went to the heaviest he did, the heavyweight. Is that an indication of what you'll come in against? A
lot of people feel I've got a weight disadvantage going into this fight against Wladimir. I look at it in a completely opposite way. I think I've got a weight advantage. You know, with my lighter weight comes more speed, more athleticism, more mobility. Something that he's never encountered before. He can try and replicate it in sparring, but the only way he can replicate that type of speed and athleticism is sparring someone who's 12 or 11 stone. And those guys are not going to be able to take his punches in sparring. So by the time he gets in the ring with me, he'd never have been in the ring with someone as quick as me.
David, we talked a few weeks ago about the fact that come October you may well hang the gloves up, and about legacy and how important that is. You are hanging the gloves up. So is it therefore that important?
I don't believe him.
I think I might. But is it the legacy? Is it the history that you want to get these fights in before you pack up?
Definitely. This fight, it doesn't get any bigger than this. I think the only fight that could kind of compare to this in my generation was Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson. I think it was 2002. You know, just because of their names, you know, I don't think people believe that was going to be a... And
the contract says Wladimir, but if for some reason he's not, you know, repaired from the injury or whatever, it could be...
I think he will be. I think whatever injury he's had, it will have ample time for it to have healed by the time, you know, June 25th or July 2nd comes around.
It will be a Haye Klitschko, is all.
No doubt about it. My next fight will be against Haye Klitschko. The only way that I don't fight Wladimir is if he straight up chickens out.
When you talk about boxing, you could recite any amateur pedigree of any heavyweight fighter out there. So now you're telling me you're going to retire in October. Is that going to be easy? Are you still in love with the game? Are you still as passionate with the game?
With fights like this, you know, it's hard not to be. But you got to remember, there's only 2 of these types of fights out there. Other than Vitaly and Wladimir, what other heavyweights out there that could generate this much hype and excitement?
So you're not going to retire and then in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, some superstar comes out and say, let's get it.
There's no superstars coming along. I wish
Lennox
there was.
Lewis went out of the top, didn't he? He knew after fighting a Klitschko. Maybe
he did.
His time was...
Yeah, Lennox Lewis went out at the right time. In Idlewood, he'd went out a little earlier. You know, he didn't have anything to prove.
These are the world heavyweight champions from Britain. Bob Fitzsimmons, Lennox, of course, we talked about. Michael Bent, Herbie Hyde, Frank Bruno, Henry Ackle. There's David Haye, the WBA champion. But this, you know, this is a unification. This is a massive one. This is to, I suppose, David, to be remembered along the likes of Lennox.
Definitely. You know, there's very few fighters out there that are in heavyweight unification fights. There's one thing challenging for a title. There's another thing winning a unification fight. There's one thing me going to fight Valiev in Germany, winning that WBA strap. There's another thing me then adding the IBO and WBO titles to that as well.
And it's these sparkling nights, the unification ones, which really mean something, don't they, David?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I remember when Lennox Lewis and Holyfield finally got it on. It seemed like it was forever. They were dancing around each other. Finally got in there, and that was them 2 battles were amazing.
I was at the Holyfield Memorial one. Mike Tyson, Brunkenshaw Smith walked through. Tyson, Tony Tucker, another crazy one.
Great fight.
I was there for Wladimir Klitschko against Sultan Ibragimov. That wasn't a memorable one.
Not so great that night. I remember Wladimir really struggling that night, getting booed. I think that was one of his big American debuts, and he got booed out of the stadium.
It won't be like that when you get in the ring with him.
Oh, no way. No, it's going to be guns blazing for sure.
Potent mix, this, isn't it? Klitschko and Haye.
I think it'd be unbelievable. I think, does it affect you? You know, the website, the polls, what people say, does it affect you?
Not one bit. You know, I know what I need to do to win the fight. You know, before many of my fights, I've been written off. I've been the underdog. This will be no different. There'll be people out there, experts, people whose opinions I really do respect, saying I'm going to get knocked out. But it doesn't affect me. You know, I know when I get through those ropes, you know, the game plan will be the game plan, and my physical conditioning will be better than ever, and I will, you know, unify the heavyweight division.
Well, we've been asking you, the viewers, how you think this mouth-watering matchup will unfold. Good news for you, David. There's 72% believe you'll beat him.
Okay,
That's surprising, the difference. It's huge.
I'm surprised at that. It must have, all them times I was clicking yes, must have paid off there.
But it is one of those pick 'em ones, really.
It is. You know, if you look at our past records, we're both very similar in terms of we both had a loss pretty much in the same year, around the same time, and we've both reigned unbeaten since then.
I know you're back to Miami to train, and Adam Booth will be going to Germany next week with us, because it's Vitaly against Wladimir Klitschko, which is an interesting one, because Klitschko beat you in the amateurs.
He did, yeah. He's a very, very good fighter. You know, he's someone who's been quite underrated as a professional. I think it's simply because he sort of let his body go. You know, when he fought me, he weighed 200 pounds, and his last fight was 260 pounds. You know, and the guy's only 6'1½".
Do you think he could shock a Klitschko like you intend to later in the summer?
He's 17 fights unbeaten.
70 fights unbeaten. If Solis comes in around 230 pounds, I believe he's got a very good chance. If he comes in anything over that, then I don't believe he would have taken his training seriously, and physically he won't be able to do what he needs to do to win the fight.
Interesting.